should be joining us at about 9 minutes after the hour. Chance of rain for today? Yeah, it's in there. Let's see who gets it. We had a few showers yesterday for Brownsville and Harlingen. I think some of those showers made it all the way over to the Donna area as well. Just a little bit of rain activity. Better rain activity tomorrow, says AccuWeather. In fact, there might be some flash flood advisories that pop up here pretty soon. So again, we'll review all that with AccuWeather in about 3 minutes. Hope you can join us. Well, we can say it was not unexpected. We had been tracking the movement of this New World screwworm in Mexico for many months, and now confirmation from federal authorities watching this situation. Yeah, it is now in the U.S. It's now in Texas.
It was confirmed in a camp in the South Texas city La Pryor. U.S. Ag Commissioner Brooke Rollins says,
"We've established a 20-kilometer infested zone around the detection and implementing quarantines, movement controls, and surveillance in this area."
They're also releasing millions of sterile New World screwworm flies, something Texas Ag Commissioner Sid Miller says doesn't work.
What works is a fly bait. Makes almost too much sense. It's just cowboy logic. You want to kill some flies, put out the fly bait. We manufactured a bait in the 70s and 80s. It killed 90% of the flies.
Rollins stresses this pest does not cause a food safety issue, and animals treated early enough will recover.
We have a conversation with Nate Sheets. He is the Republican candidate for Ag Commissioner of Texas. He should be joining us at about 15 minutes after the hour to comment on the confirmation of the New World screwworm in Texas. And what now for livestock owners and pet owners? So join us for that conversation again coming up at 15 minutes after the hour. Valley's Morning News on News Talk 710 KURV. Big, huge economic news for the state of Texas to the benefit of Southeast Texas again. Just a few days removed after we got word that Galveston, Port Arthur, Metro Houston area would be building huge ice-breaking ships, comes word that northwest of Houston, the world's largest semiconductor facility might be in the works, thanks to Elon Musk and SpaceX. It's in Grimes County.
The county judge and 3 of the 4 commissioners made no comments before approving tax abatement and economic development agreements and establishing the boundaries that apply to both. Voting against all 3, David told us.
The hurried rush process by which we've conducted this has limited the effectiveness of even entering into the agreement in the first place.
Regarding giving up property taxes, Tolis believed they could have done better than SpaceX making an upfront payment of $10 million and making annual payments of $20 million a year for 35 years.
This note from the White House: President Trump is set to announce $700 million in federal funds to boost the coal industry, the coal industry. He's expected to make the announcement from the Oval Office and invoking the Cold War era Defense Production Act to increase coal production. Coming up right after AccuWeather, a plan by the White House, the Trump White House, to speed up deportations, and they're going to be using courts in Texas for that. We'll explain right after AccuWeather, and want to say thank you first to Dougie and all the gang over at Martin Farm and Ranch. They provide us AccuWeather. Big thank you as well to Riveras Machinery on the Expressway in Donna. Best service, warranty, and price for the long haul, Riveras Machinery. And if you stop by Martin Farm and Ranch, say hi to Dougie from us. They've got all the hay that you need for your livestock. Meteorologist Jason Caterina from AccuWeather. Chance of rain today, Jace, and the better chance tomorrow. I was noticing some of the write-ups from you and AccuWeather. There might be some more advisories on potential flooding tomorrow. So, wow, what's the chance of rain today versus tomorrow?
Yeah, like a 20-30 today and probably a 40 to 60 tomorrow. It's just that there's a lot of moisture to work with, with the constant flow coming in off the Gulf. There's just a ton of moisture in the atmosphere. The precipitable water is 2 to 3 standard deviations above normal. So there's just a lot of moisture to tap into. So anything that does fire off has the potential to drop a lot of heavy rain in a very short time. So that's where the opportunity for some flash flooding comes in as we head through the day tomorrow. So
yesterday, as I call it, yesterday was my Brownsville day. I try to spend the time in different big cities during the week for business, for news and conversations. So we had plenty of rain in Brownsville yesterday, and it followed up the coast past Harlingen, and even all the way back had some rain in Donna. So it was on and off. It was pretty good yesterday.
Yeah,
So
good rain in
they
spots.
should be similar to yesterday, right? Today's chance.
Yeah, another chance. It's similar to what we had yesterday. So the opportunity's there for everybody, but better chances as you move up along the highways there and off to the west.
All right. Texas travel, anything to red flag today?
Too crazy. I think it really starts to get heated up as we head on into later tonight and tomorrow for Dallas and Houston. So do expect possibility of some delays the next couple of days and into the weekend as they continue with the chance for some strong storms the next couple of days.
All right. That's the AccuWeather forecast from Jason Caterina and all the crew at AccuWeather. So, that chance of a thunderstorm today. And it was thunder and lightning in certain areas of Brownsville yesterday. It was impressive. So, chance of rain today, much like yesterday. Let's see who gets it. And then much better chance tomorrow. And highs today, I'm guessing because of the cloud cover, right, Jason? Highs today should be like in the low.
Yeah, it ought to mitigate it a little bit for us.
Yeah, low 90s for today. Today, it's National Cheese Day. And for me, it'd be the quesadilla cheese.
Oh, see, I love provolone.
Okay.
Like hard provolone. The sharper and stinkier, the better.
That's cheese.
Torture my kids with the provolone. I'd like take a piece of it in my fist and I'd like walk by them and like they'd be sitting on the couch and I'd like stick my hand in front of them.
Oh, you are cruel. You are cruel. Okay. And get your face scratched. It's Hug a Cat Day.
They were always suspicious of me.
Suspicious. I like that one. All right, pal. We'll check in later. That's AccuWeather meteorologist Jason Caterina.
Try for some cheddar cheese jokes later.
Okay. Text them to me. I'll use them during the break. Let's see. Again, highs today should be 92, 93. Coming up in just a few minutes, we've lined up Nate Sheets. He is the Republican candidate for Texas Ag Commissioner. The New World Screwworm is in Texas. That's confirmed by feds that have been watching this, monitoring this. So what now? You got a herd, you got livestock, you got pets, even people with open sores. They might encounter this thing negative, have a negative encounter with this New World Screwworm. So conversation with Nate Sheets, Republican candidate for Texas Ag Commissioner, coming up at about 16, 17 minutes after the hour. So stick around for that conversation. Meantime, just interesting notes on data centers. Check this out. So up in New York State could be the first in the nation to issue a statewide ban on large-scale data centers. In Nevada, a moratorium on new data centers is headed to Reno, Nevada. City Council there passed the measure earlier this week. They are in the process of creating regulations for any potential data center in their area. Meantime, in Texas, data center creation is multiplying. ERCOT is moving ahead with plans to streamline the process of connecting data centers to the state's power grid.
NPR 1325 and Paragraph 145 have been adopted.
And this new process is approved by ERCOT to get large load users like data centers on the state's power grid faster. It's called Batch Zero. ERCOT Board Chairman Bill Flores.
This was a monumental effort to move this type of policy change through the process in less than 4 months.
Batch Zero is a new way of managing the massive backlog of power requests by lumping together projects closer to completion. Energy project lawyer Brian Clark.
Once the initial group starts getting connected, then that next group, and then they'll just continue this on a rotating 6-month basis.
That's Chris Fox with that report. Here's Michael Bourne with what I told you before the AccuWeather break. Big changes coming to federal courts in Texas related to deportations of illegals.
Starting next week, the president's plan to speed up deportation proceedings is starting here. There will be mass hearings with dozens of people appearing in the courtroom at any given time.
This is going to affect the backlog and is aimed at eliminating it.
That's San Antonio Immigration Attorney Lance Cartwright. In addition to these mass hearings, those without attorneys will now be required to appear in person as opposed to virtually.
This is the Valley's Morning News on Newstalk 710 KURV. The conversation with the Republican candidate for Texas Ag Commissioner Nate Sheets. His reaction, his conversations with folks on the front lines of agriculture and folks who own herds in Texas. So what now that the New World's screwworm is in the state of Texas? That's next on 710 KURV.
KURV. Good morning. Hey, Nate, this is Zach at KURV. Let me get you on with Sergio. It'll be a couple minutes. Hi there, this is Zach at KURV. Let me get you on with Sergio. It'll be about a minute, okay?
Appreciate you making us a part of your day. Thank you to all the family out there. You guys listening to 710 AM on the radio. Now, you and I, everybody, we all do pretty much everything on our smartphones, right? Or our tablets. Go get the free app, Radio Para Mi. Go get it and listen to 710 KURV at Radio Para Mi. This is your station for Astros baseball in the Valley. And big thank you to Dr. T's Primary Care for Men and Women. Well, over the past many months, we've been watching the steady move of the New World screwworm from Mexico, and now it is confirmed. It has crossed the border, and it is in Texas. Joining us for any advice or maybe some commentary on where we go now that the New World screwworm is in Texas. And I think we need to start with defining the problem, the issue. Nate Sheets, my guest right now, he is the Republican candidate for Ag Commissioner of Texas. Nate, welcome back to KURV. For people who are not in Ag, I'm a city boy too. We're, don't pretend to be a farmer, but we do listen a lot to folks that are in Ag. So tell working people, what is this New World screwworm, the threat? And now that it's in Texas, what does that mean? Like, where do we go from here in your mind?
Well, Sergio, thanks, man.
Nate, I got a bad connection.
Why that is.
Okay, Nate, hang on a second. I got a bad connection with you. Zach, do me a favor.
Okay.
Go to a 60-second audio cut or 30-second cut. Disconnect, reconnect with him. See if we can get a better connection. Go outside if you need Nate. See if we can get a better connection because this is a very important conversation. All right, so let's rinse for 30 seconds and try to reconnect with him.
KURV. Good morning. All right, that sounds good. We'll try it on right now.
Twenty minutes after the hour, the morning news on News Talk 710 KURV. Okay, take two. Nate Sheets, Republican candidate for a Texas Ag Commissioner. New World screwworm is in Texas. Define the problem, my brother. And then where do we go from here? What have you heard from folks on the front lines of Ag?
Well, good morning. Yes, so unfortunately, we have had a case of the New World screwworm here in Texas, down in La Praya, down in South Texas. And so the USDA has a strike team that they have deployed. But the New World screwworm is it's not something new to America. We've had it here back in the 50s and 60s and 70s. And it is a fly that lays an egg on an animal with an open wound. And then that larva hatches and actually burrows into the living host, thus the name New World screwworm, screws into the animal and eats living flesh. And it was eradicated back in the 50s, 60s, and 70s through a sterile fly program where we took male flies, irradiated them, sterilized them, and then deployed flies out so they would mate with female flies, which mate only once. And so the concept behind it is that we have more male sterile flies than fertile flies, and so the flies just die out, and that's how we beat it in the past. But unfortunately, the facilities that we had in the United States that we produced those sterile flies was burned in the 90s, and so we are in the process of rebuilding that facility right now.
How long might that take?
There has
Nate?
been. That's going to be ready, in next year. And so, but too far out to help us today.
Yeah.
But USDA has begun to stockpile ivermectin, which they can use to treat animals. And they've got a couple of other topical treatments as well, which will allow them to be able to treat these individual animals. So there is a moratorium on moving animals around in South Texas right now. And so people just really need to stay vigilant. And, animal health is doing all that they can at this point to be able to ensure that this does not continue to have any spread inside of Texas. But, unfortunately, this is the consequence of the cartels, which have been utilizing agriculture to help promote their narcotics business, but also the open border policy that we had under the Biden administration. But those are all things in the past, but today we need to aggressively continue to be vigilant. If you're in the cattle business, you need to ensure that you're constantly looking over your animals, inspecting any wounds, and if you see anything, that you quickly report it to Texas Animal Health so we can get that animal treated and ensure that we continue to not have it be propagated throughout Texas.
Nate Sheets is the Republican candidate for Ag Commissioner of Texas. The New World screwworm it's confirmed it's now in Texas. La Praya, the case that comes to us is La Praya. Where is that? Well, that's between, you guys know where Del Rio is, Piedras Negras, Mexico. So it's west, a little bit south and west of San Antonio, and it is La Praya. I would guess is probably my best guess about 50 miles from the Rio. So it's already quite a bit into Texas, very, very rural area. Do you think that makes a difference, Nate? The fact that it's in a very rural area of Texas, that it had much more ease, it had a chance to cross the border, where population is more. We have more population here in the valley, and probably more monitoring stations. Do you think it was a lot easier for it to cross at a desolate area in West Texas like we see now?
The fly will be carried not just by cattle, but also by wildlife, deer, pigs, all types of wildlife. And so the concern is, even though we're being vigilant on ensuring that we're not moving cattle around, that's why we have a closed border to not allow cattle to come in from Mexico that potentially could be infected. But again, it's really hard to control the wildlife, even birds. So, it doesn't surprise me that it was in a much more rural area. But again, at least we found it, and we've got it contained, and we're going to continue to aggressively keeping this contained in La Praya and ensure it's not continuing to outbreak throughout Texas.
Might the confirmation of the New World screwworm in Texas, in West Texas, or in west of San Antonio, closer to the border, might this lead to a quarantine of Texas livestock, cattle? Might it lead to that, where in Texas we can't send to other states in the meantime? What do you think might happen next?
Well, Florida, the Florida Ag Commissioner had already declared that Texas cattle could not come into Florida, and so we could continue to see that. But I'll tell you that the New World screwworm does nothing to the actual animal from a meat standpoint, and so if we are processing animals and sending them to slaughterhouses inside of Texas, then it's nothing that we need to worry about that so much. But again, we're going to contain this and ensure that it doesn't spread throughout the state, and that we can continue to serve our cattle community so they can be as successful as possible. Because it's a really difficult time right now for anybody in agriculture, and this only adds to it.
Well, you know how they say that the livestock, the herds, are at the lowest number since, I guess, like in 50 years, since the 1970s, and that's why the price of beef is so high. Do you see maybe Texas ranchers going forward and just pretty much liquidating what they have in order to send to market and prevent from having this issue become an issue in the market near future? You kind of addressed that on the meat side. So what do you think might happen with Texas ranchers and herd owners and this inventory that's already low? Might it affect beef prices?
Well, I believe that there's always a market impact when you ever have bad news, and you see spikes constantly. We've even seen that with the Iran war, with the spike on gas prices. But the cattle industry, everyone recognizes that we have a historically low animal herd, and so people are really trying to build back. They're holding back heifers, having calves, and we really need to build the animal herd back up. And so that's really been the conversation amongst the cattle industry over the past 12 to 24 months anyways. And so we just need to continue to build up that herd, try to drive down consumer prices, and ensuring the longevity of the largest cattle market in America. It's a $15 billion industry for Texas, and very important, but also very important for the rest of the world, because we provide a tremendous amount of meat from our Texas cattle. And so we want to ensure that we have a strong, robust industry for decades to come.
From the federal level, they say sterile flies, throw some sterile flies out there and see if we can diminish the population of the New World screwworm fly. From the state level, President Ag Commissioner Sid Miller says, traps, we need lots of traps. Throw them out there. Catch these darn things, as many as we can. What do you make of these two different approaches?
I think that we need to attack this on as many fronts as possible, candidly. And I've actually, right before we spoke, Secretary Rollins, Secretary of USDA, called me and was just giving me an update last night. I was in a communication flow with the governors and hearing what we're doing from a state level. But, we need to attack the New World screwworm. And obviously, we're working diligently to create the New World screwworm facilities that we can deploy, 500 million flies a week. But I know the USDA has deployed over 8,000 traps all along the border. They're working with the Mexican equivalent of the USDA to ensure that we're doing everything we can in coordination with Mexico to get this fly eradicated, because it's just as negative on them. I mean, they've been covered up in this fly, and so they want to get rid of this fly as much as we do here in America. And so we need to attack it on every front that we can.
Nate Sheets is the Republican candidate for Ag Commissioner of Texas, the New World screwworm, which is a menace. It's a threat to U.S. livestock and not only cattle, but pets as well, and deer, any warm-blooded animal that is out there. How far might this New World screwworm, in your mind, how far might it make it inland to the Midwest, to other states that have cattle herds, or is there something aggressive that is now going to be put in place by those states to try to prevent the further spread of this? Because I was told back in the, 70s when it spread, it was it went pretty deep into the country.
Yeah, back in the 70s, it was throughout Florida and in the Texas and some of the Gulf states. And so, this isn't just a Texas issue. This is this is a South America issue. And we have to ensure that we're coordinating efforts across the entire United States to eradicate this. So, what we have to ensure is that it does not go any further.
Well, it looks like lots of ranchers and cattle owners are going to be sending their kids, all these high school kids, college kids will be doing the rounds and checking for open wounds in those herds for the next several weeks. You mentioned ivermectin. Will that be provided to all producers, all herd owners, ranchers in the state from this point on? Is there a program that's kicking in here pretty soon to provide this, or is this voluntary?
The ivermectin will be available through Animal Health. You can also get it through your local veterinarian. And so if you suspect that you have, a potential outbreak, then I'm sure you can reach out to your veterinarian and request ivermectin. But I know that we've been stockpiling in anticipation to ensure that we have the medication available so we can use it as quickly as we can.
All right. Anything else you want folks to know that you're hearing from the front lines before I let you go?
Yeah, I would just say just be vigilant. Ensure, even if you have a cat and a dog, I mean, if you find any unusual wound, inspect it. And if you think that there could be a potential infestation, immediately reach out to your local veterinarian or your Texas Animal Health Commission on a localized basis. And it's going to take all of us to be vigilant and to ensure that we can beat this. And we will.
All right, Nate. Thank you for your time. Thanks for answering the call. That's Nate Sheets. He's a Republican candidate for Texas Ag Commissioner. This is the Valley's Morning News on News Talk 710 KURV. On your station for Houston Astros baseball. Join us weeknights and weekends for Astros baseball, made possible by Dr. T's Primary Care for Men and Women. AccuWeather says highs today should be low 90s as a result of expected cloud cover. There is a continuing chance of a thunderstorm somewhere in South Texas. We had a little bit of rain, some nice rain, and Brownsville, Harlingen area, and had some menacing clouds, made it all the way inland. So chance of rain today, similar to tomorrow, about 20%-ish chance of rain. Let's see who gets it. Much better chance of rain, says AccuWeather, tomorrow. In fact, there might be some advisories that kick in as a result. The border bridge wait times. Customs Border Protection. Last we saw Hidalgo Bridge about 45 minutes to 50 minutes at last check. And for Brownsville, it was 15 to 20 minutes. Yeah, 15 to 20 minutes at the Veterans Bridge. Thank you for waking up with Newstalk 710 KURV Business News and a check of your money next on 710 KURV, including more tariffs, new tariffs on the way. The White House had to put together a data set of potential slave labor overseas, and now they want to fight that with tariffs. That's next on 710 KURV. Chamberlain Roofing and Waterproofing, providing you as a business owner, property owner, even as a property manager. I mean, this is your gig, right? You got to make sure that everything's okay at the building. Not only the AC system and the paint and the parking lot and potholes, all those things, but what you don't see, which is the commercial roofing system. And the folks at Chamberlain Roofing and Waterproofing, with almost 130 years of experience in the commercial roofing business, folks who cross-train and know all the systems. These roofers at Chamberlain Roofing and Waterproofing, in part, that's why I say they're absolutely the best in the area. Because I know, and this is through many conversations with Chamberlain, they cross-train their people, and their folks know all the systems. So ask them to visit for free. They will visit your company, your commercial strip, your building, your warehouse, and look for weak spots that you need to know of, especially entering storm season. Because one gully washer could shut you down for Lord knows how many weeks. That's a lot of money you won't be making or losing out on as your tenants say, bye-bye, bye-bye, you were an awful property manager. So get your roofing system at your properties, your commercial properties. Get them checked for free by the top roofers in this region. Chamberlain Roofing and Waterproofing at 956-655-6178.
I'm Nicole Murray with Your Money Now. Broadcom reported weaker than expected revenue in its fiscal second quarter earnings report. Leading up to the report, revenue has surged in recent quarters, driven by demand for custom AI chips. CEO Hock Tan did not raise the company's full-year target of $100 billion in AI chip sales. Its shares are down 15%. Prologis CEO Dan Leder said on CNBC that the company's growing data center business represents one of its biggest opportunities yet as demand for AI infrastructure accelerates. The company has already energized 5.6 gigawatts of power across its data center pipeline and started $1.3 billion data center projects. CrowdStrike has announced a 4-to-1 stock split and narrowly beat Wall Street's fiscal 2027 first quarter estimates. Shares are up about 60% this year as companies lean into more cyber tools to fend off advanced AI attacks. CEO George Kurtz said the company is critical to successful AI adoption. Futures are still mixed. That's Your Money Now.
The Valley's Morning News on Newstalk 710 KURV. And on the tariff front, some news today. So the investigation started weeks ago, right after the U.S. Supreme Court told President Trump that he could no longer use tariffs on an emergency basis. Now we have new tariffs on the way because there was an investigation into slave labor by competitors. Those new tariffs might be kicking in as soon as that report is provided on potential slave labor in China and in other countries. The Valley's Morning News on News Talk 710 KURV. AccuWeather says highs today should be low 90s. Chance of rain, about 20-ish%. A much better chance of rain for tomorrow. Thank you for waking up with News Talk 710 KURV. This is the Valley's Morning News. Also at Radio Para Mi. Download the free app. You're not alone in taking care of mom and dad. You wish to honor them, but you got bills to pay. And you wish you had a lot more time to just go to their house and make them a breakfast, make them a lunch, and clean up the house and give them a bath so they're lemony fresh and nice and clean and do their nails and hair and all that. You are not alone. You can continue taking care of your babies. You got your kids you got to take care of. You got your career. You need to pay the bills. That was the situation I was in. Healthcare Unlimited came in and became a part of that team that helped me take care of my mom and dad. My dad was real sick, I've been telling you. He was very sick. For the final 10 years of his life and the final few years of his life, I was able to take care of him here in the Valley, moved him down from Houston. Healthcare Unlimited was part of that team that helped every day. They can every day. And if you need more care overnight, talk to them about that. But the basic things that my dad could not do, he couldn't button a shirt. Half his body was paralyzed. Healthcare Unlimited helped with the blood pressure check, the sugar check, just basic medical thing. Make sure they take their medicine. Give them a bath, clean them up, clean up the house, provide a meal daily. Healthcare Unlimited. These are wonderful people. You are not alone in taking care of your parents. Get that peace of mind, because that's part of it too, is the stress that you worry all day long about, oh man, I got to take care of mom and dad. I hope they're okay. So be done with that. Call Healthcare Unlimited. They can help you just like they helped me. 956-994-9911. Healthcare Unlimited. It's the Pulse of the 956. It is News Talk 710 KURV. I'm Sergio Sanchez, along with show producer Zach Cantu from AccuWeather, meteorologist Jason Caterina, and the forecast today. Highs should be upper 80s, low 90s, low to mid 90s, and about a 20% chance of rain in the region. Let's see who gets rain today. Better chance tomorrow, says AccuWeather. News of service of Jay Gonzalez Injury Attorneys, ready to fight for you. Call 1-800-CAR-CRASH. The U.S. Department of Agriculture confirming the nation's first case of New World screwworm in South Texas. Actually, it's closer to Central Texas, closer to San Antonio. Secretary Brooke Rollins held a press conference about the case yesterday. USDA saying that the infested animal is a 3 week old calf in La Pryor, Texas, Zavala County. That's just a little bit southwest of San Antonio, halfway to the U.S. Mexican border. Texas public schools are getting a failing grade from parents, according to a new poll from Texas Southern University.
Just 56% of Texas parents or guardians polled believe their ISD is either excellent or good, leaving 31% calling them fair or poor, 13% unsure. 66% of Texas parents whose children attend a private school, a charter school, or are homeschooled rate the quality of education as excellent. That's compared with 35% of parents whose children attend a traditional public school. Also, just 57% of public school parents say they're at all familiar with the new school choice voucher program.
And big news for the Texas economy. Just a few days back, Metro Houston announced that they were going to be building huge ice-breaking ships somewhere between Galveston and Port Arthur. Now comes word that Metro Houston northwest area, Grimes County, that might be the site, very soon might be the site for the world's largest semiconductor facility, a SpaceX chip plant.
The county judge and 3 of the 4 commissioners made no comments before approving tax abatement and economic development agreements and establishing the boundaries that apply to both. Voting against all 3, David Tolos.
The hurried rush process by which we've conducted this has limited the effectiveness of even entering into the agreement in the first place.
Regarding giving up property taxes, Tolos believed they could have done better than SpaceX making an upfront payment of $10 million and making annual payments of $20 million a year for 35 years.
A local note, Isla Blanca Park, South Padre, is being honored again with the title of Best Beach in Texas, that according to USA Today. And Amazon is unveiling a new AI robot that obeys verbal commands.
The global giant revealed its new mobile robot at an Amazon fulfillment center near London and said the next generation Proteus can respond to conversational prompts. The vice president of Amazon Robotics says you tell it what needs to be done and it figures out the priority, the route, and the timing. The new Proteus will be rolling through Amazon fulfillment centers across Europe starting early next year. The current Proteus models are being used in 25 U.S. warehouses where it operates only in the docking areas. I'm Monica Nelson.
And a major step forward for the initial public offering, the stock sale of SpaceX stock. We now know what the per share price will be. If you'd like some SpaceX stock, you're pretty soon, they'll probably go to market, $135 per share, they say. Thank you for joining us on Newstalk 710 KURV. We invite you to find us on your smartphone. You do that by going to the App Store, find Radio Para Mí. Go get it. Listen to 710 KURV at Radio Para Mí. And across the area, temperatures mostly in the upper 70s. That would be Brownsville and South Padre. It's 77, 78. And McAllen Mission, Edinburgh chiming in at 80, 81 degrees. News on 710 KURV is a service of Jay Gonzalez Injury Attorneys, ready to fight for you. Call 1-800-CAR-CRASH. New tariffs might be on the way against China and other countries that use slave labor. The White House is preparing a new round of tariffs to be used and replace emergency tariffs that were knocked down by the U.S. Supreme Court. And the U.S. Department of Agriculture has confirmed the nation's first case of New World screwworm. It is southwest of San Antonio, halfway to the Mexican border in La Pryor, Texas. Border Bridge wait times on 710 KURV. Hidalgo Bridge close to an hour at last check, and Veterans Bridge was at about 15 to 20 minutes. News Talk 710 KURV is your station in South Texas for Houston Astros play-by-play.